Welcome to Rob's Arcade. I'm your host Rob, and I'm coming to you from the arcade with a supersized episode. Since I received such positive feedback on the Super Mario episode, I figured we'd take another trip back to the Mushroom Kingdom and draw some more characters from the Super Mario universe. In this episode, we have not one, but two art classes, followed by a trip to the Classic Game Showcase where I show all of my Player 2s of Classic Super Mario game. Now how about we take a look at what we're going to be drawing this episode. That's right, today's topic is Luigi and Toad from Super Mario Bros. I'm going to teach all of my Player 2s how to draw these characters by breaking the images down into easy to draw simple shapes. But before we get started with that, I want to make sure all of my Player 2s have their supplies. First, we're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser, and a black felt tip pen or black magic marker to ink over our finished drawing. Once you have all that stuff, we can get started. Okay, let's start by drawing Toad. First step, the guideline step. I'll be drawing in red. When I draw in red, press very lightly with your pencils. We're going to go in and erase all this stuff later. First thing we're going to do is draw a big circle. Followed by that, a smaller circle. Once we have these two circles, we're going to draw a guideline right down the middle. And this is going to help keep everything even on both sides. After that, we're going to draw kind of a teardrop shape. Circle, circle, teardrop. On this side of the guideline, we're going to do a little oval here and a little oval there. So as you can see, the image is starting to take shape. We have the head, the body, and the feet. We're going to do a rectangle and another rectangle down here. At the end of these rectangles, we're going to do a circle. Okay, so right now, as I said, head, body, now we have the feet, now we have the arms. We're going to start adding a few more little details in the guideline stage before we move on to the next step. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw just his vest, which is just 2 lines here, 2 lines here. Make sure that you're following the guideline that's in the middle of the picture to make everything even on both sides. Then we're going to draw a little curve here, close to the bottom of the vest for his pants. We'll start the face. We have the guideline right down the middle, so we're going to do the eyes, one on each side. One here, one here. Then we'll draw his smile. Curve, letter C, backwards letter C, and a letter U. Next up, we're going to draw the fingers on his hands. This is going to be very easy. Again, we've broken this down into shapes, so we're going to just draw a little curve here for the thumb, and 4 little curves here. When we go over and finish that, we'll clean this up a little bit more and then you'll have a completed hand. Same thing on this side, although the perspective is a little different. So we're going to draw the thumb here, and then the fingers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see right now, we have the basis for Toad. We have all the guidelines done here. What we're going to do now is I'm going to shift to blue. When I draw in blue, I want you to press a little bit harder with your pencil, but not too hard, because we're going to eventually go in and erase all these lines later. I just want you to be able to differentiate your guidelines from your detail lines. So next step, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a little curve right here. And then we're going to follow our guidelines for his head. And we're going to separate where his head and his hat meet. And then we're going to go over the guidelines that we have for the head. Clean it up a little bit if you need to. And then we're going to draw 3 circles. One full circle right here in the middle. Again, we have our guidelines here to help us out. And 2 half circles on the sides. We're going to do his eyes. Inside his eyes there's a little highlight, so just do another circle. And we're going to end up coloring that in. Again, don't press too hard with the pencils, because what's going to happen, if you're the kind of person that puts your hand on the paper when you draw, if you press too hard, you're going to smear everything all over the place, and you don't want that. Go over the letter C's and stuff for his little dimples. Now we're going to draw a little curve on the inside, and then there's his finished mouth. Now I may be going a little fast, but the good thing about this being on YouTube is that you can pause the video, rewind it if you miss a step, and just try to catch up. Try to keep up as best you can, but if I'm going too fast and you need to stop, please, by all means, do what you need to do to keep up. If your drawing does not look exactly like mine, that's okay. This is a learning process. I don't want anybody to get frustrated or discouraged because they don't have exactly what they have on here. If you catch a mistake, just rewind the video, go back and see where the mistake was made. So we're going to move on. We're going to do the arm next. All right, the arm, I'm going to go over here, the guidelines that we have here, and I'm only going to go over the outside lines here. So we're going to have a curve here for the thumb, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 curves for the fingers. All right, we're going to do the vest. Inside the vest, it's kind of like a letter L. This just adds a little bit more detail to it. Over the curve for the body. Same thing over here. Letter L. And then I'm going to go over the arm and the hand. Again, the same thing, just the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have the hand. I'm going to go over his body. And then his feet. And now step 2 is complete. Take a look at your picture and see if there's any steps that you missed along the way. If your picture doesn't look right, just rewind the video and go and try to catch up and find out where you made the mistakes. The next step is the finishing step. This is when I'll be drawing black on the dry erase board. When I draw in black, we're only tracing over the lines that we need. So pretty much only the blue lines. All the light lines that we drew earlier in the guideline stage, we don't trace over those. We're going to erase all those later. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the face here. And then around his hat. Again, just going over the guidelines that we need. We don't need the middle guideline and some of the other stuff. This is also your chance to clean up the image a little bit too. If something looks a little off, it's not permanent yet until you put the marker over it. So just make sure that you're doing solid lines and not tracing over the guidelines. Here's his eyeball. Another one. Mouth. Over his arm. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vest. His feet. And his other hand. And there you go. We now have a completed drawing of Toad. When this ink dries, I want you guys to take all your erasers and erase over all of the pencil lines. This way you'll leave only the solid black lines. If you made any mistakes along the way, when you erase this, you might be able to see those mistakes and just go back in there and be able to fix it as you go. That's pretty easy, right? What do you say we do another one? Let's draw Luigi. Okay, same as with Toad. Step 1, the guideline step. I'll be drawing in red. Press very lightly with your pencils. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw an oval. Alright, this picture of Luigi is a 3/4 view, which means his head is slightly turned. So we're going to draw a couple guidelines to follow. We're going to draw a little curve right through here. Okay, this is going to make it easier when it comes to doing the eyes because we'll be able to put one eye on this side, another eye on this side. We're going to draw another guideline right about here to help out with that a little bit more. Next up, we're going to draw his big old nose. Right, which is pretty much just a curve along the guideline here. Then, we're going to follow our guideline here. We're going to draw his mustache. So we're going to draw one line across, one curve, and another curve. So the curve will stop underneath his nose. Since we have our guideline here, starting right here, we're going to draw an oval for his ear with a curved backwards letter H to add a little bit of detail. Starting right here, we're going to draw his head. We're going to start right here and we're going to go along. And we're going to add a curve right about there. So we're going to start right here and move a little bit past that and draw a curve. It goes up here to right about there. And then another curve that starts right here, goes to right about there. Luigi does not have a chin, so we're just going to follow these guidelines right here and just go and draw his neck. Then, starting right about here, one circle, and a slightly smaller one. Inside this, two smaller ovals, and then a little circle for the highlight. Same thing over here. Two smaller ovals, and a little circle for the highlight. On top of this, we're going to draw his eyebrows. Then to add a little more detail, starting right about here, we're going to draw the brim of his hat. So we're going to go down, around in a circle. Then his hair, which is just a curve right here, and then a line at the back with a little curve here. Now again, I know I'm going fast, but if you need to, just pause the video and follow along. So everyone should have something that looks very similar to this. We should be able to see his hat, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, his neck, lack of a chin, his ears, and his hair. We're going to go in for stage 2 and start adding more details. Press a little harder with your pencil, just hard enough to be able to tell the difference between the step 2 lines and the original guidelines. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over his head. Down, around here. I'm going to follow this guideline that we have here, stopping right there where the head and the face meet. And then we're going to go over the top. right there. Then I'm going to go down to the ear. Over the ear, over the backwards letter H, and then I'm going to follow the neck and go around there to the side of the face. Over the nose and the mustache. Luigi's mustache is in two pieces. Down the other side of the neck. And we're just going to put a little line right here for his closed mouth. I'm going to go over the hair and the sideburn. Over the eyes. Highlight and then the dark circle on the inside. And his eyebrows overlap his hat. Final touch. Right above here, we're going to do a circle. And we're going to throw that letter L in there. So there we go. Step 2 is complete. Again, if your drawing does not look exactly like mine, it's okay. Don't get discouraged. Just keep practicing. You might have missed a step along the way. Rewind the video, see where you messed up. We're going to go over this now in black with our black felt tip pen or black magic marker. This is the finishing stage. Only trace over the lines that we need. All those other guidelines and stuff, we don't need those. We're going to erase those when the ink dries on this one. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go over the nose and the mustache. I'm going to go over the neck, the hair, the ear, the sideburn, his hat, eyebrows, eyes, okay, just a note here too, only his eyebrows overlap the hat, excuse me. If you drew the hat where it goes over the eye a little bit, we're going to have to just cut that off a little bit like I did here. This final line, and then we're going to trace over the L. I'm going to thicken this line just a little bit. Finally, lastly, a little line for his mouth. And there you have it, a finished Luigi drawing. Now before we erase all these lines, we have to give the ink a little bit of time to dry. So take a look at your picture and make sure that there's no lines that you missed. There you have it. There's Luigi. In this Rob's Arcade bonus, I'm going to show all of my player 2s how to transform this 3/4 image of Luigi into a 3/4 image of Mario by just doing a few simple changes. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over his nose and his mustache. Now his mustache, we already have the guidelines set for Luigi. We're going to draw a line across, 1, 2, 3 curves, followed by 1, 2, 3 more. The third curve will stop at the guideline that we originally did. Mario has larger cheeks. So starting at the nose right here, we're just going to draw a little curve and a little curve here. Mario's hair is a little shorter, so we'll go over this line here, make it a little bit smaller. And then then Mario's got like a little short neck. We've already got his hair, but we're just going to add a couple little details. Add to a sideburn. Going over the guidelines here. Same letter H. The hat, very similar, except Mario's head at the top has one hump here, a smaller one in the middle, and then the back. Same thing here, we're going to do our line here, go over the eyes. Eyebrows. And we're going to change this L to an M. So there you have it. Here's a few simple steps that just changed the Luigi drawing into a Mario drawing. Now I'm going to take the black marker and go over the finish stage and completely finish this picture. We're going to start off with the nose. Then go around the mustache. 6 bumps. I'm just going to slightly shade this in a little bit just so it stands out a little bit. Over his chin. Little neck. His cheeks, I'm sorry. His ear. His hair. Sideburn. His hat. Mario M. I'm going to thicken this up just a little bit. His eyes. And there you go. Now we have Super Mario. This is another sign that you can take an already existing image and just add a couple little changes to make it something entirely different. All we needed to do is turn Luigi into Mario is by giving him a fatter face, changes his mustache, and changing the logo. Simple as that. Great job. Awesome job, Player 2s. I can't wait to see your artwork from this episode. Now, while we're on the subject of your artwork, I want to take a minute to shine a spotlight on one of my very talented Player 2s. Lily K has been producing fantastic artwork. I want to share it with you all in the Player 2 Art Showcase. Check it out. Great job, Lily. Keep sending me your amazing artwork. Now, if any of my other Player 2s would like to have their art shown in the Player 2 Art Showcase, take a photo of yourself holding your artwork and send it to me at the social media links listed in the description below. I'd be more than happy to include it in an upcoming episode. Now, coming up next is the Classic Game Showcase, but before we get to that, here's a brief message for my Patreon subscribers.
On this episode of the Classic Games Showcase, we'll be spending some time with a remastered version of Super Mario Bros. 2 off of the Super Mario All-Stars compilation for the Super Nintendo. This platforming classic is virtually identical to its NES counterpart, aside from having updated visuals and sound. Super Mario Bros. 2 started off as a different game entirely in Japan, but Nintendo deemed it too difficult for Western audiences, so they decided to redevelop the Japanese game, Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, into a Super Mario Bros. Game for international release. The original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 is also included in Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo as Super Mario The Lost Levels. The international version of Super Mario Bros. 2 is different from other Super Mario games in quite a few ways. Players select one of four characters: Mario, Luigi, Toad, or Princess Toadstool, who all have different abilities and characteristics. Another distinction is players cannot defeat enemies by stomping on them. They need to either toss items at enemies or even toss enemies at each other to defeat them. The plot of this game is different as well, as Super Mario Bros. 2 is the only game in the series where Bowser, also known as King Koopa, is not the primary adversary. Instead, Mario and the gang must save the dream world of Subcon from the villainous frog named Wart, a tyrant who has cursed Subcon and its people. The game consists of 20 different levels across the 7 worlds comprising Subcon. Each world has 3 levels, except for World 7, which has 2. Each world has a particular theme, such as desert areas with quicksand and snowy areas with slippery surfaces. Players can also use magic potions to temporarily access subspace, an inverted area where players can collect coins, mushrooms that increase the character's maximum health, and in some cases, a warp zone, which will allow players to skip certain levels altogether. Coins can be used in a bonus slot machine level at the end of each stage. While this game is a huge departure from the previous game, some of the elements introduced in Super Mario Bros. 2, such as lifting and tossing enemies and objects, have become a permanent part of the Mario series, making this game a must-play for Mario fans. The remastered version of this is currently available on the Wii re-release of Super Mario All-Stars compilation, while the NES version of this game is available on Nintendo's Virtual Console, as well as a plug-and-play NES Classic Edition. If you get the opportunity to play this classic bit of Super Mario history, I highly recommend you do so. Till next time.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Rob's Arcade. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow. Also be sure to follow Rob's Arcade at the social media links listed in the description below. Now as far as the next episode goes, don't have a cow, man. We're going to Springfield. Until then, keep drawing, and I'll see you next time.